Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our December 16th meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. Make sure they're turned off. All the little signals, beeps, notifications, etc., are not making them speak to us while we're working. And then we always begin our meeting with a moment of silence. And tonight I would like to do that in remembrance of the various tragedies that have happened around the world. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence. Thank you so much. And now, if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Escobar, any announcements?
Good evening. With the holidays approaching, we would like to remind residents that carts, bins, and trash cans that are overloaded cannot be serviced. Waste Connections asked us to remind residents that the lid on your container must be able to close in order to be collected. Now, the town of Huntersville offers bulk pickup for a fee, which is helpful for residents wanting to remove excessive household garbage. And you can find that form by going to our website to schedule a bulk pickup. You can either use the search menu that's there, or you can go under the How Do I section of the website. All Town of Huntersville offices will be closed December 24th through December 26th in observance of the Christmas holiday. Offices will also be closed on January 1st in observance of New Year's Day. Garbage collection will be affected as Waste Connections observes Christmas Day and New Year's Day as holidays. If your collection day falls on the observed holiday or any weekday after the holiday, collection will be delayed by 1 day. And we also want to remind people that organic Christmas decorations such as garlands, wreaths, and trees are collected from December 26th through January 15th on your regular collection day at no additional cost to the town. Please remove hangers, wires, lights, and any other non-organic material from those items. And then the town's treasure tree nomination program is now live. This program seeks to locate exceptional Huntersville trees and tell their stories. The goal is to recognize our special trees and share their importance to our town and the environment. Treasure trees can include a champion tree, a physically unique tree, a rare tree, a tree or collections of trees with verifiable cultural or historical significance, or several trees in a notable grove, avenue, or other planting. For more information, you can also, or to nominate a tree, make sure to visit our website at huntersville.org at that address there.
Any questions for Pam? All right, thank you. And now we have public comments. We will start with Chad Cordero. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and everybody else. My name is Chad Cordero. My wife and I have been very proud and blessed to call Huntersville our home since 2006. Over the last 2 decades, we've lived in 3 different locations around this town, and I've watched it grow and change in so many meaningful ways. With the growth that I've seen and with the growth that's coming, we have a lot of responsibility to build thoughtfully, to protect what makes Huntersville special, and to ensure that new developments benefit our entire community, not just a few people. And that's why I'm here to support the Station South project. What stands out to me about the Station South project is its balanced, community-focused approach. This isn't just housing. It thoughtfully integrates commercial and retail spaces, along with parks and greenways and trail connections, of which I'm a big fan of all the growth that's happening here. These are all amenities that don't just serve future residents of that development, but are also designed for all of Huntersville to enjoy. Projects like this encourage walkability, local business growth, outdoor recreation, things that strengthen community connections and improve quality of life. Station South reflects the kind of smart, mixed-use development that can help Huntersville continue to grow without losing its sense of place. I truly believe this project aligns with the town's long-term vision and values. I respectfully encourage for you guys to approve the Station South project and help move Huntersville forward in a way that we can all be proud of. Thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you. June Overcash. You have 3 minutes, Ms. Overcash.
I'm here also to speak on Station South. My name is June Overcash, and I'm a lifetime resident here in Huntersville. I'm retired from Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. I worked at North Mecklenburg, Bradley, and I retired from Bailey Middle. This property that Station South is going to be built on has been in my family for many generations. It was my grandparents, Robert Neal Knox and Maddie Neal Knox's land. They lived there and raised 4 daughters, and their youngest daughter was my mother, Shirley Knox Brown. We talked to a variety of builders about this land, and none of them wanted to build commercial here. And the projects they thought would work was not as high quality as what Peak Development is proposing. Michael and his team has a great reputation in Charlotte, creating unique and well thought out projects. Peak Development was the only company that provided plans including mixed use, both commercial and residential, for this property. His team planned and worked on this project very carefully with the Huntersville's planning experts and with CATS to incorporate all their requirements. It has everything that we could hope for with community spaces, greenways, connections, commercial and residential. We love the outdoor spaces and how the project incorporates the transit station and with the future of Huntersville. And the fact that first responders like my son, who is a police officer, and my older son, who works for Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, can afford to live there and access all of these great amenities is a plus. My family truly believes that this is the absolute possible outcome for this property, and we hope you will see the value in it and approve it. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Amber Kovacs, and I see my pal Emerson and Mr. Hallman are both here, so you have 9 minutes.
So I have to sit to read? So you just might not see me? Okay. My name is Amber Kovacs from Huntersville. I'm a former commissioner serving from 2021 to 2023. I emailed the board last week with questions regarding tonight's agenda, specifically items 8D and 8F, but I did not receive responses from any commissioners active in wanting this on the agenda. I was however kindly contacted by Commissioners Cornett and Smallwood, which allowed me the opportunity to share my opinion, and it was very refreshing, and I really appreciate it. Because of the lack of response from others, I'm here this evening to speak publicly. I'm here to address Agenda Item 8F, which proposes designating the current or old town hall for resale. Rather than debate the item outright, I want to provide some important historical context for those who were not actually a part of the process that led to the town hall decisions. When the former board had the singular vote to fund the finished plan, I was asked to come speak in favor of it, so it should be no surprise that I'm here today, passionately speaking about Town Hall. I had the privilege of serving on the board that selected the location and design of current Town Hall project. That decision followed many months of discussion, public input sessions, surveys, and collaboration with our design partners. Knowing that we were asking the public to accept a $28-ish million investment, the board was deeply involved at every stage, constantly seeking ways to reduce costs while maximizing long-term benefits. That process culminated in a plan designed to meet 4 primary needs: bringing all town hall administrative staff under one roof, creating a long-term solution so we would not face this same space issue again in a few years, providing additional downtown parking with the ability to construct a future parking deck. And 4, using funds within the project budget to upfit existing town hall to use as Parks and Rec programming space and community space available for both town use and public use. There were also significant added benefits. The plan allowed the town to generate rental revenue from the 3rd floor of the town center building if they so choose, and created a central courtyard between the 2 buildings, a dedicated gathering space for residents, staff, and visitors. All of this aligned directly with the downtown plan, which residents and business owners painstakingly spent an entire year developing. For anyone interested in revisiting just one of the conversations of intent, I encourage you to listen to the January 26, 2023 Planning Retreat Day 1 recording on YouTube. There was over an hour discussion on Town Hall, including a detailed conversation beginning around our 3 5-minute mark about the courtyard and the future use of existing Town Hall. During that discussion, our fearless Parks and Rec leader spoke about how the long-standing need for this type of community space was there, and he expressed enthusiasm for this plan to finally meet those needs. I will be very candid. My vote and the votes of others to approve the final town hall plans were contingent upon some clearly defined outcomes. The 4 pillars I previously outlined, along with the additional benefits, were not incidental. They were central to the decision that we made. That is why agenda item 8F is so concerning. It suggests that this board may not fully be aware of the history or may be disregarding it and disregarding the deliberate year-long process that informed these decisions. No decision was made lightly. I asked for clarification on the reasoning behind this proposal and did not receive it, leaving me to assume this is a matter of lack of knowledge or even an intended slight to the original intent of the project. The courtyard, for example, was intentionally designed as a connector, envisioned as a space for gathering perhaps even small coffee or pastry cart, and an extension of downtown life. Selling the building it was designed to connect to results in a space that quite literally leads to nowhere. Visually and functionally, it will read as a poor afterthought. It will be very obvious the decisions were made afterwards. Some may argue that new town hall space can absorb meetings or community functions. That assumption's flawed. As staff numbers consistently grow annually, available space will continue to shrink, making that solution temporary at best. There is also a concern of accessibility and safety for the rest of the building. The former town hall upfitted design was made to accommodate events such as Girl Scout ceremonies, recitals, anniversary celebrations, small weddings and/or receptions, community meetings, and small conferences, with movable walls and an accessible kitchen to support flexible uses. Heck, I suggested Anthony's office to be turned into the committed space for the daycare park hoppers program the town does, to be able to bring them out of their previous Delwood location, because when they were put there, it stopped residents from renting it. And I wanted to give access back to those residents who deserved it. This space is needed. This was about providing affordable, accessible community space while saving residents money at the same time. I'm also aware that expanding the recreation center has been floated as an alternative. It's not. The cost of such an expansion far exceeds the cost of upfitting the existing town hall, and a rec center is not an appropriate or desirable venue for many of the community events I previously stated. The downtown plan explicitly states that community is the heart of downtown. The action proposed in 8F sends a very different message, that community space is expendable. So the question becomes, who should be more offended? The prior board that worked meticulously on the project only to see a later board claim ownership while dismantling its purpose and intent? The residents and business owners who devoted a year to creating a downtown plan that is now being ignored and laughed at? Or the residents being told they no longer deserve accessible, affordable community space in the heart of their downtown after they were promised it? I will end with this. Do not allow resentment towards those who came before you to drive decisions that are not in the best interest of Huntersville residents, like previously done. This is not about politics or personalities. It's about honoring the intent and the planning and the promises made to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Josh Dumas, and I see TJ, so you have 6 minutes.
Hi, name's Josh Dumas. I live at 8621 Summerfield Lane. I'm here to speak on item 8D on the consent agenda. I've spoken at several town meetings before, and nearly every time I've come with yielded time from someone else, so it kind of affects me directly. Not only do I think I have pretty good public speaking skills, but I also enjoy doing it. I don't have any anxiety to do it. Many people I know would never come up here and do this, so I'm more than happy to speak on their behalf whenever I get the chance. Some issues before the town board are complex and require more than 3 minutes to really lay out a nuanced and compelling public comment. And I think tonight is such a night, and this issue is as well. Tonight, you will apparently be changing the way our public comments work, no longer allowing residents to yield time to a spokesperson. And it appears you will be doing so via the consent agenda. For those that don't know, this allows the town board to just easily pass an item without really a public discussion or a heads-up vote on the item. I've been thinking about this for about a week, and I've been struggling to figure out why you're doing this. I've been to many of these town board meetings, and I've watched many more on YouTube, maybe not as many as y'all, but quite a few. And I can only remember just a few times where public comments ended up being excessive in a very long period. I think like the Birkdale development comes to mind, where there was an excessive amount of comments, but on that type of issue, I think you want lots of public engagement. So I don't think that you're attacking and taking away this right for us to stack comments to shorten meetings. I really don't think that's why. Comments aren't why meetings run long. Meetings run long because of long agendas. They run long because of long presentations by developers. They run long with lots of questions and comments from the commissioners. That's what lengthens the meeting, not the public comments. So I don't think that's it. I think an argument will be made that this is to align our policies with other larger towns and municipalities who don't allow yielded time. But honestly, I can't figure out why in the world we would want our town to push more towards these policies of larger cities where it's harder to connect with your elected representatives. Huntersville is a big town, but we're still a town, right? And it feels like we're constantly, always, in so many ways, trying to fight to keep some of that townness that we have here, whether it's through development or other things. So to me, having access to my elected leaders, being able to deliver a longer comment like this, that is way more important to me than feeling like we're like Charlotte or something like that. To me, that doesn't really hold a lot of water. So what do I think is really going on? I think that this change was thought up as a way to silence a small handful of residents who routinely come to these meetings with yielded time and deliver long comments. That's the only thing I can come up with. Maybe that's not true, but that's what it looks like. These engaged and outspoken individuals are some of the most active residents we have in town politics, some of the very few. And frequently, they're here to push back on what the board's doing. They are asking tough questions, they're pushing for more transparency, and they're demanding better from their elected leaders. Guys, I'm sorry if those occasions make you squirm in your seats or hurt your egos or give you anxiety or whatever it is, but that's the job. That's the job. They're gonna come here, they're gonna say things you don't like, you gotta sit there and listen to it. The fact of the matter is, you're answerable to us, okay? This isn't your meeting, it's our meeting. This isn't your building, this is the town's building. And just because someone's saying something you don't like, that doesn't change that, ever. To top this off, you're attempting to make this change via consent agenda, effectively just sliding it through without any public debate and no comments from yourselves. If I thought I was disappointed that you came up with this change at all, I was doubly, triply disappointed to see it on consent agenda. I just did not expect that at all from you guys. It's a bad look. It's a really bad look. I know most of you very well. I've campaigned for most of you, celebrated with you when you won, and I'd like to think I had a small part in helping you get elected. To know that a board I've supported in that way would seek to take away part of my voice, and doing so without any public discussion or debate, it actually kind of turns my stomach, and I'm not being dramatic here, guys. It's upsetting. I'm deeply disappointed. And quite frankly, I wouldn't have voted in the last election the way I did if I had known this would have been on the first agenda of your first full meeting as a board. It's disappointing. I implore you all to reverse course on this. You should all be champions of greater public involvement in politics, not less. Most of you ran as Democrats, and as a fellow Democrat, access to and participation in the political process, no matter who you are, is a core value of the party. Plain and simple. Limiting access, cutting off time, that's something I would have expected to maybe happen had none of you won, and there was a different set of faces up here. But with you guys, I don't get it. I hope that enough of you realize what a worrisome and regrettable step this is for you to take. I'm not sure where it goes from here, but I've seen enough of governments infringing on rights the last 10 or 15 years at the state and federal level. I just did not think it would happen here. And it's a small thing, right? It's a small thing. You still have 3 minutes, but it's not a small thing. It's a big deal. Don't do this. It's not good for the town. Throw this on the trash heap where it belongs and move on to something that will help us all, that will help the town, that will help the residents. It ain't it. Not it. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Johnny Campbell, you're up. You have 6 minutes.
Johnny Campbell, Huntersville resident. I also emailed the board earlier in the week and got no response except for the 2 new board members, Commissioner Cornett, Commissioner Smallwood. I really appreciate your responses. I appreciate the apologies and the sincerity in it. It meant a lot to me. I did also receive a clarification email from the mayor as well, but no other board member chose to respond, so I'm here tonight to read that email to you. My name is Johnny Campbell, and I'm speaking to you concerning the way my wife, Gatewood Campbell, has been treated by the mayor and certain members of the town board. First, let me thank you for your willingness to serve our town. These are very important roles, and they must be filled, and they are done at great sacrifice, so I do appreciate your willingness to serve. I've lived in Huntersville my whole life. I love this town. I've never been involved in politics as I thought it was better left to others. My wife has taught me the error of that way of thinking. Unless all are involved, all are not represented. I want to tell you a little bit about my wife. She served her Lord faithfully for over a dozen years as a director of membership at one of Huntersville's largest churches and was responsible for much of its growth. She's an amazing wife who truly sets the example of a Proverbs 31 woman. She's raised 2 rambunctious boys into manhood. This was until the day that God had another plan for her life. One day in Target, she suffered a mild traumatic brain injury, and the result was a diagnosis of epilepsy and an exit from her gratifying and successful career. She stepped from that role into one of a full-time mom and wife, one which she did with grace and love. It has been the greatest gift that God has ever given the Campbell family. On November the 18th, she addressed the town board regarding some not-so-up-and-up communications that were revealed by a local news broadcast that happened to include her name. Mayor Clark was directing the board to not communicate with her in writing unless they wanted those communications shared. Suspicious? Yeah, I'd say so. Yes, my wife is active politically. Yes, she advocates for her town. Yes, she is vocal about right and wrong. Yes, she shares information that she thinks will help other citizens who are too afraid to ask for themselves. I would think that's exactly what you would want from every citizen. She's the ideal town resident, and I wish more people had her passion and her bravery. While she was addressing you, a commissioner typed a message on his iPad and called my wife, Huntersville resident, involved citizen, an effing loser. Except he typed out the whole word. One commissioner saw what he typed and was so badly offended that an ethics complaint on that commissioner was filed. The consensus of this board was not to pursue the complaint. That's shameful. Right is right, wrong is wrong. That was wrong. I'm embarrassed that this board chose not to pursue that ethics complaint. You're basically saying that what was done was right, appropriate, validated, and normal. Was that right? Was that appropriate? Was that valid or normal? I ask you, if this were your spouse, your loved one, would you say this is how a concerned citizen should be treated by her elected officials? Was this the representation that she deserved? I expect an apology to my wife and to the 2 board members that did reach out to me. I greatly appreciate your apologies, even though you were not part of the board when that event happened. I ask for a public apology, and if you are the man of God that you claim to be, you will issue a public apology for the harm that you've caused a fellow believer and sister in the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, do we have a motion to amend the agenda?
I make a motion to remove 8D from public comments from the agenda.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
The reason for the removal is because I think that there needs to be more discussion on 8D. As we have seen, have gotten emails, we've heard from residents, we definitely need to sit down and revisit and take into consideration what our constituents are saying to us in regards to our public comments.
Any other discussion?
I don't think that public comment should be a platform for someone to be abused. We do not have to allow allotted times. This also, we have an open door policy, and we're a pretty transparent board. I feel that this gives the opportunity for our residents and constituents to sit down and meet with us, to get to know us. When we have public comments, we can't respond back. If there were concerns within our town, this gives the opportunity to sit down and understand the yes, the no's, and the whys. So again, I think, excuse me, doing it similar to other municipalities would be just in line. And this is more of just a cherry on the top when you allot additional minutes. But I do think this right here would allow us to become a little closer, so we can sit down and laugh and joke and talk and understand the whys.
Any other discussion?
Just one, I was prepared to move forward on this tonight, but our attorney advised us that there was actually a court ruling on public comments today that we're going to have to review before we move on.
Comment? Okay. All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries. And now may I have a motion to adopt the amended agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the amended agenda.
And is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries. And now may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. We do not have any public hearings this evening, so we'll move on to item number 10A, consider appointing 3 members to the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission due to 3 expiring terms. And just a reminder to the board that these appointments will last from December until March, and so the motion should include that information. For the new members, what we do is we nominate folks, and then we make a motion at the end. So Scott, I'm going to start with you for your nominations for the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission. Commissioner Cornett, excuse me.
All right, and if I pronounce your name incorrectly, I am very sorry. Christina Breen, Clayton Buchanan, and Jeffrey Locke.
Commissioner Hunt?
Same.
Whoops. Commissioner Quarles? Oh, Commissioner Quarles is not ready. Commissioner Rivers?
Christiana Breen, Jeffrey Locke, Clayton Buchanan.
Commissioner Smallwood?
Christiana Byrne, Jeffrey Locke, and Clayton Buchanan.
Commissioner Walsh?
Ditto.
And Commissioner Quarles, are you ready?
Yes, same.
All right. May I have a motion to appoint Christiana Byrne, Clayton Buchanan, and Jeffrey Locke to the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission from December until March 2026?
I make a motion to appoint Christina Barine, Jeffrey Locke, and Clayton Buchanan to the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission for their term to expire in March of 2029.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, thank you for your service, volunteers. And now we'll go to the Parks and Recreation Commission due to 3 expiring terms. You want to?
Just up here if you have questions.
Okay. I was like, do we have something to say?
No,
Okay.
just carry on. Just
Okay.
in case you have a question.
All right. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Commissioner Coronet, can I get your nominations, please?
Richard Aquino, Sharon Coral, and Magic Cypress McNary.
Commissioner Hunt?
Same.
Commissioner Quarles, are you ready?
Same.
I'm never going to let you live that down. Commissioner Rivers?
Ditto.
Commissioner Smallwood?
I don't remember what the names were, so I'm going to read mine. Richard Aquino, S. Magic, Cypress McNary, and Sharon Carell.
Perfect. And Commissioner Walsh?
What she said.
Okay. And may I have a motion to appoint Richard Aquina, S. Magic, Cypress McNary, and Sharon Correll to the Parks and Recreation Commission?
I would like to make a motion that we appoint Sharon Correll, S. Magic Cypress McNary, and Mr. Richard Aquino to the Parks and Recreation Commission due to the 3 expiring terms.
And is there a second?
I second. Do we need to say anything about the?
March.
Yes.
March.
With the expiring terms being March of 2029, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for volunteering. Excited to have some of you rejoin us, and the others new. Okay, last one, Parks and Arts Commission nominations. We are item 10C, Commissioner Coronet. You're appointing 1.
Diane Aka Bashran. I'm sorry, I butchered that.
Commissioner Hunt,
Margaret Tew.
Commissioner Quarles,
Margaret Tew.
Commissioner Rivers,
Diane Akabashran.
Commissioner Smallwood,
I nominate Diana Aka Bashorn.
Commissioner Walsh.
Diana Aqua Bashorn.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Aka Bashran has the majority for the nomination. So is there a motion to appoint Diana Aka Bashran to the Parks and Arts Commission? Public Arts Commission, good grief. Okay.
Motion to appoint Donna Aqua Bashran to the Public Arts Commission due to expiring term to expire in March 29.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you. Item number 10D, consider approving contract for commercial indoor air quality control system at Huntersville Family Fitness and Aquatics. Good to
Good
see
evening,
you.
everyone. This RFP was created so we can replace the current Dectron dehumidification unit that serves the small 25-yard therapy pool that's at the location. It continues to decline in performance, and we're currently operating at 50% capacity. It's beyond repair and can no longer maintain stable air temperatures. To provide some context, this was one of 3 Dectron units that were installed about 8 years ago. In late 2023, 2024, early 2024, we had replaced, going through the similar RFP process, we had replaced those 2 units with the board's approval to also take care of the aluminum ductwork that was in that space as well. We replaced those units plus the ductwork with sock fabric ductwork. Due to the continued issues that we're seeing with this current unit, which is beyond repair, it's time to now go ahead and go ahead and do the replacement if you so choose. During the RFP process, we worked with the town staff as well as the town attorney to publicize and receive bids for this project. We did receive 2 bids, MSS Solutions and Thermal Conditioning Incorporated. Thermal Conditioning did provide a bid of $591,630 for this project. MSS, their bid was $654,311. So it was a difference of $62,681 overall. Replacing the existing aluminum ductwork is going to help with the air distribution with the new sock ductwork, and also provide a little bit of assistance with the weight that's currently being suspended in the ceiling. This was completed in the 50-meter pool when we did the 2023-2024 installation of those new units as well. So we're recommending the same basic project. Both vendors provided a timeline of about 20 to 22 weeks of manufacturing for the units as they're custom built. And so the earliest that we would be looking for installation would be May of 2026. With both of those vendors, with the installation itself, it would be basically broken up into 2 phases. One being with the unit installation, that would be all exterior work, and so it would be limited disruption to the users inside the space. Although during that installation, we'll have the disconnection of the old and installation and the reconnection of the new. So there will be a little bit of disruption there as far as the maintaining of air temperature. But overall, disruption will not be an issue overall. The second phase of the installation would be done with the sock duct work. That would be done in our August annual shutdown that we typically do for both pools. The 25 goes down, basically shut down for a week of maintenance, and the 50-meter goes down for a week of maintenance as well. That seems to be the best time for all of the user groups for those shutdowns. So we would line up that installation when, again, it's minimal impact to the users in August. It is our recommendation, after reviewing with town staff and town attorney, based on the responses provided, that Thermal Conditioning be awarded the contract if you so choose. They were the lowest responsible bidder.
Y'all have any questions? Commissioner Rivers?
Did we have with the contract, was there a dollar amount with that? I'm sorry.
So Thermal, again, it was $591,630.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that number. Okay, thank you.
Did you say that the existing system lasted 8 years? Did I hear that wrong?
Yeah,
Is that,
just about 8 years.
is that normal for these okay.
No, unfortunately, from the beginning of the installation, and we saw performance issues and design flaws within that system, so no, it did not maintain the way it should have. Life expectancy of any of these large custom units are going to be 12 to 15 years.
Okay, so we're looking at this again in a couple years from now.
Couple years.
Couple years. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion for item 10D?
I make a motion to approve the contract for the commercial indoor air quality control system at Huntersville Family Fitness Center.
Is there a second? A second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And now item 10E, which is consider approving a budget amendment for the commercial indoor air quality system at HFFA. Mr. Williams.
Yeah, this is essentially, you approve the contract. This is a budget amendment to actually pay for that. And then we, I don't know if George mentioned or not, but we walked through this with the HFFA committee, and they were supportive as well. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Williams? Okay, do we have a motion for item 10E?
I make a motion to approve the budget amendment for the commercial indoor air quality control system at Huntersville Family Fitness and Aquatics for the contracted price of $591,630.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10F, Consider decision on petition R24-155, a request by Station South LLC to rezone 21.29 acres. Mr. James.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to please enter my staff report into the record. So R2415 Station South Conditional District rezoning. So a little background on the basics of this rezoning is the current site you see hashed on the screen is currently used as single-family residential or vacant. The zoning is corporate business conditional district. The proposal is for a mixed-use district with apartments, townhomes, commercial, and some vertical mixed use. And they are proposing to go transit-oriented development residential conditional district. Little timeline of how we got here. This public hearing was all the way back in March of 2025, and following that was the planning board meeting in March. And the original town board meeting was to be held in April. However, that was continued to this date due to the 1 cent sales tax vote for the commuter light rail funding, which ultimately did pass. So the light rail funding has happened. So that's why we're here today, to hear this again for the final version. On the screen, and a lot of this is redundant, but we haven't heard it since March, so we'll look at some of these items again. On the screen, you see the context map of the surrounding land uses. You see quite a bit of multifamily with Caldwell Crossing to the north. You've got some senior housing to the west, as well as Caldwell Station and Charter Caldwell Station, which is under construction. There is some light industrial to the east of this project, and some various other items that are coming online here soon to the south. As far as the site plan goes, again, this is a mixed-use subdivision. There's 20 total buildings, 2 solely commercial buildings. There's 8 apartment buildings. 2 of those apartment buildings also have vertical mixed use composed within the pedestrian village there in the center. We have 8 townhome buildings and 1 parking deck that will be utilized for the rail depot, as well as for the commercial buildings within. There's 348, up to 348 total residential units, and 64 townhomes, 6 mixed-use townhomes. The applicant has proposed 5 attainable units within the project, 2 at 80% AMI and 3 between 80 and 120 AMI. On the site plan, you see the townhomes there to the top of the screen, followed by the extension of Siegel Street. That will be a minor thoroughfare that will cut through this project, giving street frontage to the apartments below that. And then you see the nucleus around an urban open space there in the middle with their clubhouse and the parking deck to the bottom left. And along the rail, you'll have more apartment buildings and 1 vertical mixed-use building. Along that light rail is also the future greenway. So there are 6 modification requests. Those are modifications to the ordinance. 1 is block length, 1 block 2 and block 5 at 596 feet and 639 feet along Siegel Street. Because of the curvature of the road and on-street parking and crosswalks, staff believes that that will help slow traffic, and so those are appropriate block lengths. The applicants have proposed to do 1 row of street trees along Siegel Street instead of 2, and due to the urban conditions and the tree grates, staff believes that is appropriate. There is a small amount of side yard parking with apartment building type. Side yard parking is not permitted, but with a large subdivision of this size, sometimes those do get mixed in with driveways, so that is appropriate. The floor area ratio with a TOD, we're looking to do less surface area and more vertical and density. So TOD does require an FAR, which is a calculation to lower the amount of just unused space like parking or, in this case, we've got a big urban open space. So that FAR has been asked to be lower in this development. Staff deems this appropriate due to the amount of urban open space at the nucleus that makes that FAR naturally smaller. So that is appropriate modification to the ordinance. And then the TOD district tries to balance the amount of commercial and residential within the half-mile walking distance. There is more commercial in this proposal due to the the commuter rail red line station. So staff believes that with that and the amount of already dense residential in the area, that lowering the amount of, or increasing the amount of commercial with that ratio is appropriate. And then the townhome section on the north side of Siegel Street, they are asking to go 6 feet higher to allow one more floor for marketing purposes. And you'll see those elevations soon, and staff believes due to the urban conditions here that that is appropriate. On the screen, you see the vertical mixed-use building. So it's a good blend of modern and urban with some more suburban type roofing mixed in, which the applicants have proved that with some renditions throughout that this does meet a TODR style of design. You see the commercial there at the bottom. This elevation is for the apartments that are mixed throughout, 3-story apartments, similar design without the first floor commercial. You've got the townhomes there on the top and the clubhouse below it, all very similar style of design as the other elevations. And then this is the 1-story commercial building. Throughout our reviews, we were looking to get more height and potential second occupiable floor. That note on the bottom shouldn't be there. We've come to the conclusion that with the added height of the buildings and that perceived second floor, that we are okay with one story and not a second occupiable story, which is why the modification for FAR has been asked for. Moving on to the 2040 plan, there are many reasons why this does meet the 2040 community plan. There in the red is the outline of this development, which is in a mixed-use center. Mixed-use center asks for a lot of different items. The main thing here is the encouragement of the transit and the density around that. So with that said, there's a lot of emphasis on form and flexibility to allow less parking in TOD. This follows design principles, a mix of land uses, connectivity, and again, encouraging that transit-supported development, which is exactly what this development is with a TODR designation. Back in April, the Planning Board recommended approval 4-3 with all of the modifications being approved. And staff does recommend approval and approval of all of the modification requests that I spoke about previously. It is reasonable to rezone the 21.29 acres. Staff believes this meets the intent of a TODR, and moreover, the being right adjacent to the future commuter rail station, this does add that density and commercial mix that we're looking for. The applicants are here. They have a presentation as well, but if you have questions for me before they start, I'm here to answer those.
Any questions for staff before we hear from the applicant? Okay, all right, we're ready. The applicant wants to come up.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Thank you for your time this evening. So, happy to present this, happy to answer questions. That wasn't necessarily planning on presenting this presentation, but if you'd like for me to, I'm happy to do that.
You just want to tab through real quick, like.
Sure, yeah, be my pleasure.
Yeah.
So, obviously, as Jesse said, in first, I'd like to start with saying, thank you to everyone. Thank you for your time here tonight. Brian, Jesse, this really was a collaborative process. We've been working at this for tens of hundreds of hours, and so I think through that, we've gotten to what is pretty exciting. So, Jesse walked through the timeline. I think everyone at this point is familiar with the red line and that transit tax passing. So we are, of course, at the Sam First stop, and are working with CATS on what that's going to look like. We are Peak Development, a local developer just down the road, lots of experience in both multifamily, townhomes, retail. So, mixed-use project like this is kind of core to what we do. Really excited about it. For us, the development philosophy is shaping communities thoughtfully through development that serves people, places, and long-term progress. So, we're a small team in the sense of a development team. We want to build stuff that we're proud of. We all have kids that we want to leave a legacy to. We're excited about trying to build in Huntersville and add to this. And so it's just core to us to make sure that we're excited and prideful of what we're doing. I don't think you want to see the 2040 of the plan. That basically says, our development meets the 2040 plan and the TOD. This is a lot of repeat of what Jesse said. Sorry about that. And then, the site itself. So I think Jesse did a great job going over everything. Certainly happy to answer any and all questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
With this being on the red line, were you planning on adding any security in the area?
Security, like on the platform or in the development?
Just, yeah.
In general?
In general.
So safety is a great question, especially with a project this size and, a public transit stop. I don't think there's anyone in this room that would say that they visit places that they feel unsafe. Certainly, right, we're going to make sure that this is a safe development. It's how it's successful. It's how we get people here. It's how we get the community involved. So I guess kind of two ways to think about safety here. One, from the kind of CAT side. So as I'm sure everyone knows, there is a transit board that's been formed that is going to make the decisions kind of for everything red line associated. There actually was an article in the Charlotte Business Journal earlier this week that came out that said that as soon as everyone gets sworn in, which I think is Thursday, their intention is to pivot, according to the article, directly to safety, right? How do we make sure the red line is safe? How do we make sure people want to ride it? How do we make sure that it's exciting? So I'm not a member of that transit board. They will obviously work on that from the operations standpoint of the train. But from the development, I clearly am involved. And so for us, safety means a number of things, right? It's got to be well lit. It's got to be plenty of lights on the site. There can't be kind of hidden pockets anywhere. We will work with architects and consultants, both during construction and designing for the long term, to how to make sure this is welcoming, people want to be here, people feel safe when they are here, to ensure that. So we will make sure that we are putting in any and all measures that they see and we feel that are needed, which those would name a few. So yeah, safety will be paramount as we think about the red line stop and this development, being a mixed use deal that it is.
How much of the project will be completed during phase one?
Great question. Actually, I have a slide on that. So, and this is a rendering, by the way, if you haven't seen this. So this is the Center Park, which obviously you can see lots of people here, and we'll got to make sure that they feel safe to your question. So on phase one, this is what it looks like for us. So we will build basically the mixed-use buildings, the apartments, the center nucleus, if you will, the kind of village area, and the infrastructure for the townhomes. Over half of all the commercial that's going to go on this site, which is substantial, will be built in phase one. What is, I think, frustrating when towns think about apartment buildings, right, as standalones is they're just apartment buildings. It's there for the residents, and if you're visiting the resident, then obviously you're using it. But that's not what this is. I mean, this is a true mixed-use development. And so unless we put commercial and substantial amounts of it on the ground early, it's just going to feel like an apartment development. So in phase one, we will make sure that over half the commercial gets put in, and then we'll make sure the park gets put in, the access, the greenways, everything else. So for all intents and purposes, even in phase one, this should feel like a true mixed-use development.
If you could, what was the total number of units altogether?
So it's up to 278 apartments.
So 278 apartments,
Yep, 64 townhomes.
Okay,
And then there's like these liner units, I can kind of show you on the screen. So if you see against the parking deck right there, there's 6 units right there.
okay. So, all right, so we're looking at roughly around 3.
Thank you, Jesse. 348 total.
348, yeah.
My brain's not mathing with that.
I understand, it's an overload, mine too. And so you came up with the number of 5 attainable units. Could you kind of give me some elaboration on that?
Absolutely.
And are you open or willing to consider maybe later on, once the project has been approved? I mean, if the project is approved, but if the project comes to fruition, are you willing to consider increasing the number later on, if possible?
Absolutely. So I think maybe a little bit of background might be helpful for this question. So, I have some business partners. We've been in development for a long time. We've done a lot of senior housing. With that senior housing, we've done a substantial amount of attainable housing with that. With a project like this, as we've collaborated to have the mixed-use nature, a really high-end kind of TOD-oriented design, things just get really expensive really quickly. And so what we've done is from the beginning, we said, okay, we don't think we can have any, unfortunately, but here's where we're at. We added 1, we added 2. As costs came down, we continued to add more. 5 is kind of where we think we are today to make sure we can capitalize the project so it doesn't stall. But the answer to your question is absolutely. If we can continue to bring construction costs down, we will continue to reevaluate, and even without direction right, we'll continue to think about what's best for the community, how we drive that, and what that does look like. The last thing I'd like to say is we're not trying to set a high watermark for rents at this project. We are trying to set a high watermark in terms of quality for a mixed-use development. We want to be proud of this, but we're not trying to say, hey, we got to be the most expensive apartment complex in town. If we can do that and accomplish that, right, even if they're not true attainable houses, right, we can still bring the cost of living down for residents that might want to be here.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Would you be willing to put in some art infrastructure or public art?
Absolutely, yeah. So, Susan has been wonderful in helping us think through art and what does this look like. I'm a huge proponent in working local. I own a restaurant in Charlotte. I bought it. It was one that shut down. The reason I bought it is because I didn't want the city of Charlotte to lose it. So for us, as we think about the history of this line, art, bringing the community into this, I think that the only way to really activate it is to have, local artists, whether we're buying their pieces, whether we're running processes, right, that Susan and I have definitely committed to at this point, in order to allow them to design art pieces that we can put in the project to not only fund the build out of that, but also maybe award prize money. So absolutely willing to commit to art installation on this project, work with the local community, and make sure that they feel engaged and like they care too.
Any other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Smallwood?
I have one more question, thank you. Can you tell us what the roads, how the roads would navigate around
Yes.
the property?
Absolutely, and I don't know, is this a laser by chance? So I guess y'all can't see the laser, sorry. So there's a few things that we're doing here, right? So obviously, thank you.
Draw on it if you want.
Nice.
I can't teach you because I don't know.
Okay, well, you just did, thank you. So, this is obviously 115. There's going to be a 4-way lighted intersection right up here that will connect. So at this 4-way lighted intersection, part of what we'll do with Station South is we'll improve that intersection. We're gonna widen it. We've worked with NCDOT and have committed to a system that allows that intersection to be a little bit more efficient with how the medians work. So we'll build all that. There'll be a turn lane into the development, and then you'll come in. In addition, we are obviously privately funding this road here, which is called Siegel Street. So Siegel Street, I think as everyone knows, is a major thoroughfare that'll run parallel to 115, ultimately connecting south to Sam Fur, and then ultimately north to Mays Road. So, the goal of Siegel Street is to alleviate congestion from 115, help that kind of intersection. In addition to that, if you'll bear with me, and I'm sorry, if you're heading south down 115 towards Sam Fur, we're going to build out an additional left turn lane onto Sam Fur. So as people are coming south, they can go right on Sam Fur, straight across, and we'll build another left. So help that intersection as well. There are tons of infrastructure improvements going on in this area, not only the ones I just listed with Station South, but overall, to try to help with some of that infrastructure. The local office here, Stephen Trott, NCDOT, have been instrumental in working through all that, and we feel like we have a really good kind of plan. So that's the list of what we're doing.
Thank you for that. You did mention Mays Road.
Yes.
So does that mean Mays Road would be redesigned there with the hill and where the trucks get stuck?
Yeah, that's a great
frequently?
question, too. So the other project that we're associated with, which is Caldwell Crossing, is tasked with and will be working on that exact crossing. So as I think this intersection, when it gets built out as a part of Caldwell Crossing, will shut down the Mays Road crossing, which is really steep and tractor trailers get stuck, as well as the Caldwell Station. And that project will also build out, basically widen Caldwell Station Road from Mays, make it 2 lanes, bring it up to state standards, and that will all now kind of route through that with that intersection. So the other good thing is now if you're coming off Mays, right, you won't have to just try to jump out in traffic and play Frogger. You can just come down, hit the stoplight, and now obviously have a lighted left right there.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? No questions? Okay. Are we ready for a motion for item 10F?
I make a motion to approve petition R2415. Considering the proposed rezoning petition R2415, Station South, the town board approves with the following conditions. Number 1, approval of the block length modifications request for Block 2 and 5 as seen on page RZ3. Number 2, approval of the modification request to only require 1 row of street trees along Siegel Street. Number 3, approval of the side yard parking modifications as requested, as shown in the rezoning plan with appropriate screening. Number 4, approval of the modification request to allow FAR of buildings with office and restaurant uses to be lower than the required ratio as set forth in 3.2.13A. Number 5, approval of the modification request for relief from Article 3.2.13E5. Number 6, approval of the modification request to increase the allowable height of attached homes to 36 feet. Number 7, a modification of Note 19 to include an art piece not less than $5,000. Number 8, all other minor staff comments are addressed. It is reasonable and in the public interest to rezone the approximate 21.29 acres described herein as it is consistent with the envisioned uses of development patterns set forth in the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan. The proposal is consistent with Huntersville 2040 Community Plan, policies LU 1.1, 5.1, 6.1, 7.1, 8.1, 8.3, T1.2, and T1.3, and furthermore meets the intent of the TOD-R zoning district by providing a rich mix of services and housing in a pedestrian village format with close proximity to a transit station.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
I will be supporting this project. I really like it. I like that it's forward-thinking and is incorporating the future transit plan in the design. I appreciate the affordable units that you're allocating, and I love the fact that it's mixed use, so thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Rivers?
I too am in support of this plan. I, again, appreciate the attainable housing, but also I appreciate the landowners who came in support of this project, and they've actually sat down and they've talked to you, because generational land is a big deal for me, and to know that the family is in support of this it speaks volumes. So I think that this definitely speaks volumes to your work and what you are bringing, and I look forward to seeing what this project can do. Thank you.
I too will be supporting this project, and I think it is a true, vibrant, mixed-use development. We talk about the affordable housing units, but sometimes we fail to talk about the small businesses. I truly believe that this is a project that will help the other nearby businesses in our area.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Coronet?
I also talked with June, and I was really excited after meeting with her about how excited she was about this this project and the developer. And chatting with the developer, I was very excited to see what they wanted to put forward and doing the public art. Won it for me.
Great. All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item 10G, consider decision on petition TA 25-01, a request by R. Todd Hirschfield. Ms. Pritchard.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Tonight, we will be considering TA 2510, which will amend Articles 3.2.3 and 9.18 of the zoning ordinance to allow helistops with conditions on properties in the general residential zoning designation. The applicant is R. Todd Hirschfeld, who is here tonight and has a presentation. And as I stated, the text amendment would allow helistops as a use permitted with conditions in the GR zoning district and add related conditions to the use. At the November 19th, 2025 Planning Board meeting, the board unanimously recommended denial of the text amendment as it is currently written. However, they recommended that the town board direct staff to create a staff-driven special use permit category for helistops in residential districts. Staff does recommend denial of the request as it is written as well. Should it be the will of the board to have helistops in the general residential zoning designation, they would recommend a special use permit. With that, I'll take any questions you may have for me.
Any questions?
Okay, so maybe for clarity, for me, everybody here is super smart. I'm just joshing. But no, in regards to the special use permit, can you just kind of give us some context about why the use of the special use permit versus, I guess, the way that it's being presented today? Was there a reasoning in regards to that, or why that was recommended?
Yes. So the text amendment as it stands right now says that helistops would be allowed in connection to residential uses in the general residential zoning district. Carte blanche, flat out. With some conditions, of course, but it would be allowed in any residential property zoned GR. And that was the concern of the planning board, that it could be any property in GR. If helistops were to be considered by a special use permit, it would be a quasi-judicial proceeding. Staff would have the opportunity to sit down and take each site on a case-by-case basis, look at the context of where it is, how much land there are, surrounding uses, things of that nature, and then come to bring it before the board for their final decision. So it really just allows for kind of more control over where they can go and all that good stuff.
So in order to have helistops with a special use permit, there would have to be an alternate text amendment adjusting our ordinances to say that they're allowed through special use permit, or not allowed, but would be, yeah, okay. So, okay, that's what I need to know.
Also, I do want to point out that just by directing staff to research and propose a text amendment, that does not mean that it's going to get approved. It still has to go through the normal process with a public hearing and also board consideration. So it would be the majority of the board that would be required to approve it if staff is directed to research that topic and propose a text amendment.
Any other questions for staff? All right.
Thank you.
Would y'all like the applicant's presentation?
Yep.
Yes, okay. You can come up.
I'd like to.
right, thank you. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. It's good to see everyone again, and try and keep this as quick as I can. I want to start by acknowledging the staff's recommendation that was just mentioned. While staff recommended denial of the original text, they also stated that the town wishes to allow residential helistops. The appropriate mechanism would be special use permit. I view that recommendation as constructive guidance, and that's exactly why I'm here tonight. My goal has always been to follow the town's preferred and most appropriate process. I respect the board must protect the integrity of the ordinance, and I also appreciate that the special use permit process exists so unique, responsible opportunities can be considered rather than automatically blocked. That is why I believe the SUP framework works for everyone. It keeps full control with the town, provides transparency, protects the residents, and gives me a clear, accountable path forward that aligns with your guidance. These are not just suggestions, these are commitments I'm willing to accept as enforceable conditions. I want the town to remain fully in control, and I'm comfortable with operating within clear boundaries as stated already by the FAA and now with the town, as you see on this slide. All of the concerns that were raised by the staff initially, noise, precedent, and compatibility, are exactly what the SUP process is designed to address. This isn't about bypassing concerns, it's about resolving them through conditions. I want to share this slide and that a few of the commissioners that I were able to meet with suggested I reach out to some of my neighbors and get their support. I made a point to engage with neighbors directly and respectfully. Support was invited, never pressured, and neutrality was also always respected. I've sent a lot of these letters that I will not read them, obviously, but I will point out that all three neighboring properties to my residence, as seen here by the Siglers, the Greens, as well as the Cowans, on all three sides of my property have sent letters of support. Additional letters of support that you may think aren't as relevant, but off of Haggers Ferry, both of these are where I was originally landing my helicopter before we realized that this was an ordinance issue. So they know the sound, they know the wind turbulence that the helicopter rotor makes, and they supported it. This neighbor is also directly across the street from my property, as well as this neighbor who actually owns these two lots as seen here. This neighbor is in the back of the cove. I would never go there, but I appreciated his support and he wanted to send a letter, so that's where that one is. What slide are you on? Okay, so I also want to be transparent that not everyone has supported this, and that's okay. What matters is the neighbors most directly impacted had the opportunity and understand the proposal and engaged openly with me. My direct neighbor, Mr. Feldman, who originally supported this proposal, later withdrew his support about 6 weeks later, or last Saturday. Supposedly he was of the impression that the helicopter was going to be landing on my dock. It's never been part of my plan, but that was just a miscommunication, and he says he changed his opinion when he found out that it was not on the dock and it was on the land. Now I would like to share a few videos. Hopefully AV has got this taken care of so it's not too loud. I took the suggestions of some of the commissioners I met with and that visited my property. I was hoping that these Oscar-worthy home videos might lighten up the presentation a little bit, but I will forewarn you that my skills behind the camera are considerably worse than my flying skills, so my apologies in advance.
Before you play that,
All right, we've just cranked the helicopter.
Ms. Loop, do we? Okay.
Okay. Right. Well, that's going to make this really difficult, but I'll showcase here what I did then. Put me on the fly. So the helicopter was taking a video from a distance of 100 feet, 75 feet, 50 feet, and 25 feet. And then I took a normal lawn tractor, as you see on the right-hand side there, and did the same exact practice. The decibel readings I don't know why this slide's not coming out like it should, but the decibel readings from the helicopter at 100 feet was 70, the tractor was 67. The helicopter at 75 feet was 74, the tractor was 74. The helicopter at 25 feet was 82 decibels, the tractor was 80 decibels. And within 5 feet, I was literally standing underneath the rotor. I'd love to show you, maybe next time I can just do photos, was exactly the same as the tractor. So I think that's important to note, just because of the fact that I know a lot of people haven't been around helicopters. They don't know how loud they are. They assume that they see them on TV and they're loud and Black Hawk Down videos and stuff like that. So I was hoping to be able to showcase that tonight. So I'm sorry I can't share that video. Unfortunately, the next video you'll have to stop too. Can we go back to the still? Yes, ma'am. Next one. Oh, okay, I didn't know I could do it. Okay. Okay, you can't stop it. Okay, so what that video was showing was how much wind is actually created by the rotor at different distances. And so everything from 100 feet out all the way to the actual helipad, we took small cones and we put ribbon on them so you could see flight direction and how much disturbance was made. And the actual helicopter did not disturb the ground until it was about 5 to 10 feet above the actual cone. That was a great example that maybe we'll see some other time, but I think it was just a way for me to show that, I think some of my neighbors may have concerned that if I'm landing over the lake at my pad, that they may, their leaves may blow away or, some debris may flow away. My neighbor that is concerned about this is 450 feet away. I'm sitting here today telling you that the turbulence at best was felt with between 50 feet and about 70 feet at best. And that was very little. So back to this, I completely understand the concerns that about the noise, but it's worth putting in perspective. The personal helicopter, like mine, is only producing between 80 and 95 decibels, and that is for less than a minute. One of my videos shows my exact landing time, and it's about 90 seconds. The entire process is 90 seconds to land the helicopter. A lawnmower, you're mowing your lawn 30, 45 minutes. It's much longer. So sound is very similar to a leaf blower or shown as I did with the lawnmower, but it's much longer. And in other words, it's a brief, predictable sound that that drops quickly with distance, not a constant one. This is kind of a demonstration that I'll try and do without the video as well, that shows, for context sake, helicopters don't need airports, but airplanes typically are landing on airports that are 75 to 100 feet wide. This shows in this slide that my combined lot is 273 feet, which is way greater of a buffer of standard safety than a normal runway you would see out at the airport. My arrival and my departure path is entirely over water. And the flight path would always remain more than that 100-foot that we just talked about. This was another video that we can skip through, but is essentially showing the exact distances here of the area that I currently land a helicopter versus where I would have proposed to land the helicopter. So simply replacing the ground with the water illustrated this point pretty well, that proposing the landing location over the lake is much wider and much more open area, allowing for my arrivals and departures to not fly over any homes or obstacles. And I promise that's the last video. I would like to respond directly to the staff's concerns. I recognize, like I said, that not a lot of people have firsthand experience of helicopters, so my goal was to show through these videos the context. The noise is comparable to yard equipment, and that the downwash is very minimal. With respect to the tree preservation, in my siting, my current plan requires minimal removal of any trees for where we want to put this landing area, sport court area, and no trees would be removed from in the designated tree save area. And then as far as regard to lack of precedent, while private heli stops are less common in Huntersville, there are at least 8 private helipads within 2 miles of my property in a similar Lake Norman neighborhood, operating safely and compatible with residential areas. And back to my key point here, a special use permit does not establish precedent. It allows the town to evaluate the specific property under specific conditions. Lastly, one of the examples that came up was that Charlotte had a 400-foot setback. That's not apples to apples comparison, is what I was going to share. The rules are designated for dense urban neighborhoods, whereas this site is a half-acre footprint with 270 feet of shoreline. That said, Charlotte's approach does reinforce an important point, that residential heli stops are permitted only with strong safeguards in place, which is exactly what this special use permit process is to provide. So, for example, the town could require operational conditions such as minimal altitudes required to fly over structures to further ensure safety and compatibility. I don't know why the slides are not showing like they coming through there. No. Well, so what has changed since my original submission? I've listened, I've adjusted, I've clarified. The proposal today is more refined, it's more transparent, and more aligned with both the staff and the neighbors' feedback than when I started this process. I just want to, in closing, I want to thank the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, all the commissioners, the staff for this evening for the thoughtful consideration you've given to this request over the past 2 months. I want to be very clear about my ask tonight. After the Planning Committee's guidance on November 19th, I fully agree that the special use permit is the appropriate and responsible path forward. I'm no longer seeking a zoning text amendment. I'm simply asking for the opportunity to have this request reviewed for special use permit. Throughout this process, I've made it a priority to engage directly with neighbors who would be most impacted. I've listened to their concerns, clarified details where there was any misunderstandings, and adjusted my approach where appropriate. As a result of those conversations, and the majority of my closest neighbors have chosen to support my effort. A special use permit allows the town to retain full control, apply clear enforceable conditions, and evaluate the request based on the specific characteristics of this property. That level of oversight is appropriate and is something I welcome. Tonight, I respectfully ask the board to allow this request for special use permit framework consistent with the staff's recommendation, the Planning Committee's guidance. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and for your service to town of Huntersville.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Hirschfield? Commissioner Quarles?
You say it's about 90 seconds for the landing process. What is the amount of time for departure? And my reason for asking that is when I visited with you, there was a lawnmower down the road from you, or down the street from you. And I inquired with you, was the helicopter louder than the lawnmower? And I know I stood out there with you for about 45 minutes, and the guy was still out there. So as far as your departure, how long does it take for you to get everything set up and warmed up and ready for takeoff?
Yeah, I actually had a really good video for that, Commissioner. The startup process to get the helicopter up to speed is actually much quieter, obviously, than the actual departure when you're pulling power. When you're pulling power and departing from the area, it depends on how much power you pull, but when you're departing from the area, as it would have been seen in my video, it's still less than 100 decibels, which is like a rock contest. And it's much faster than the arrival. When you're arriving, you're slowing your inertia, you're slowing your speed, you're slowing down and getting the helicopter slowed down for control and into the space. When you're departing, you want to get speed and altitude because that's safety. Speed and altitude is safety in any environment in a helicopter.
You showed the your landing and takeoff path. According to FAA, what are some of the do's and don'ts you can't do in your helicopter? Could you hover over your neighbor's house?
No, you can't. As a matter of fact, the last presentation, I shared 14 CFR 91. And that is helicopters may be landing safely on private property. No careless or reckless act is able, and pilot is always fully in operational control. So you and I could drive over to where my helicopter is in Concord. We could take off and go right around the lake. We could fly a couple hundred feet right here above Town Hall. There's no restrictions on altitude in the helicopter. But if we're unsafe, if we're doing something, we're trying to like skirt the side of a building, or even if we wanted to go downtown in Charlotte and we got approval into the Bravo space, we can literally fly between the buildings legally. But if we go close to the buildings within 500 feet or something stupid that, and we're acting stupid, then they're gonna shut us down. I don't wanna lose my FAA license, my pilot license. So it's up to pilot safety regulations based on that CFR.
And the last one is not a leading question, but standing where the landing pad would be, where your pickleball course would be. If this was denied and you sold the half-acre lot.
I'm sorry?
If this was denied and you sold the half-acre lot.
Yes, sir.
For someone to build a home, can you explain to us what will happen to those trees?
I mean, they would take all those trees down, I would assume, to be able to build anything over there of any size. The way the pad is set up, or the sport court that I'm planning to be able to use, is about 40 by 20. The helipad that you did see in the still there is about 10 by 10. So it's not much larger than what you saw in that photo, but it is substantially smaller than what you would have to do if you wanted to clear a lot for building a house.
Correct. Thank you.
Sir.
You mentioned in the presentation that you're willing to consider daylight hours, and you would consider, I guess, adjusting those based upon like daylight savings versus fallback. Like now it gets darker earlier. So when you're saying like daylight hours, can you give a definitive time frame? Is it 8 to 5? Is it, 7 to 4?
Yeah, I can actually, well, you guys can't see this, but so what is considered civil daylight, twilight, is an hour before sunlight, an hour after sunlight and an hour before sundown. I would be willing to put restrictions in that say that I would not fly outside of those hours. So, just for example, I wish I could show this. Morning civil twilight is 6:57 this morning. Sunrise was 7:25. Sunset is 5:12, and evening civil twilight is 5:40. So you could make restrictions based on the FAA regulations that are already in place, saying this applicant would only be able to fly an hour after morning civil twilight, or an hour before civil twilight, something like that, something along those lines, or just from sunset to sundown, whatever's established. We get this information as pilots for flight planning, and we have to make sure we stay within it. One other thing that's important to know with helicopters, my helicopter's a VFR helicopter, so vision flight rules. So I can't fly if the weather's bad. I can't put the helicopter in the clouds, can't like an airplane. So there's a lot more restrictions around helicopters in that capacity, as well as time. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to make sure that I was following what you were saying earlier, was that you are requesting that the board deny the text amendment that's on our agenda this evening, and then subsequently request staff to then research and possibly establish a special use permit for helistops in the town of Huntersville. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, Mayor, I've been learning as I go along here. I'm shadow water. I've listened to what the attorney has suggested in that last comment before I came up here.
Okay.
And I think that's the appropriate way to go. I mean, I will do whatever you feel is safe and that you would approve in this condition. But yeah, it sounds like I went down the wrong path originally with the text amendment that I was suggested. and that this was the most appropriate way to make sure that it is case by case approved.
So if the board were to ask staff to research, just to reiterate what the town attorney said, there's no guarantee that the board would then approve that, but it's just an alternate pathway at this time.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I understand.
And also, even if the board does direct staff to come up with a text amendment, and that text amendment is approved to create a special use permit category, you would still have to apply for the special use permit once that category has been established, and there is no guarantee it would be approved. It's a quasi-judicial process.
All right, any other questions for the applicant or staff?
And you may not know this, so the current ones that are out there, like in Cornelius, are those in coves, kind of where you're at, or are those more on the peninsulas?
I do know of I know a good amount of them. And some of them are landing on inner lots. Some of them are landing on docks. So there's a mix. Some of them are landing in back coves, and some of them are landing on major open water channels. But again, it really just comes down to the ordinance, and unfortunately for me, Huntersville is the only one that has an ordinance over helicopters in this area that touch the lake.
Any other questions? Commissioner Smallwood?
I just have a comment. I want to commend you on your research and the due diligence that you have done on this, and you've been out several times to present this. You have a beautiful cove, and thank you for inviting me out to look at your property. And the cove is beautiful as well. So thank you for that.
I appreciate you coming out, and it is my full intention to keep the cove beautiful and to just be able to utilize the helicopter in that cove. But thank you for saying that.
Other questions or comments? Okay, do we have a motion for item 10G?
I make a motion to deny petition number TA 25-10, a request by R. Todd Hirschfield to amend Articles 3.2.3 and 9.18 of the zoning ordinance to permit conditions private helistops in the general residential zoning designation. The town board is aware and considered the planning board's recommendations that any relevant portions of the 2040 Huntersville Community Plan. As part of this motion for the denial, the town board further directs staff to research and draft a text amendment for the board's consideration that creates a special use permit category to permit helipads with a special use permit in the general residential zoning designation.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
First, I want to say I think the planning board did a phenomenal job with this proposal. This is a very unique application. This will not be the last time that a request like this come before us. We are a futuristic board. There's already FAA approval for testing for drones as a mode of travel, but not just for little small packages, but it's for passengers as well as cargo. So we're not asking staff to research this. Well, let me change some words. And with the drones, I did some research and I learned that the decibels for your H-44 are between 85 and 95 decibels. As to commercial drones hitting 70 to 90, and the larger drones that they're doing testing right now that will carry passengers and cargo is anywhere between 80 to 90 decibels. So we're looking at in the future, we could have drones with the same amount of decibels bringing people around as well as cargo as a helicopter. This, again, is unique. It's the first time it's come to us. And I think doing what the planning board suggested, at least researching and putting this together would be the direction to go as we're forward thinkers. I think what confuses a lot of people is the pitch of the sound of a drone versus the pitch of the sound of a helicopter. To me, that is saying you have a tenor versus a bass in singing. I think we should block out the vehicle, because in the very near future, it could be a year from now, it could be before we up for reelection, there could be someone proposing to drop people as transportation or cargo. So I'm hoping this board at least allow the opportunity for the staff to do the research. As the town attorney said, there's no guarantees, but it's putting us as forward thinkers and not kicking the can down the road. So I'm hoping my colleagues look at this and say, okay, we're not approving anything. We're denying the proposal as it's currently written. We're asking staff to go back, do some research, work with the experts as we put something together. Because again, I'm going to throw it out there. I said it 5 times. I'm saying it so it can stick. Say it 3 times. FAA have already approved testing for drones with passengers and cargo. It's just a different vehicle.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Walsh?
First of all, I'd like to echo Commissioner Smallwood's comments. I mean, you've gone the extra mile to do your research and to present and many other things. However, I am not at all in favor of helicopters. By the way, you have a beautiful house. The cove there it's hard to see on a map. We see the number of feet between the shorelines, but it's hard to imagine until you stand there and look at this quiet cove and think, hey, if I owned a home there, would I want to see a helicopter coming in and out? And there's a lot of talk about noise. When people buy houses, they're expected to, cut their lawns and blow their leaves. But by allowing a helicopter or something like this, we're introducing extra noise into a quiet neighborhood. And so I'd like to make a substitute motion. I make a motion to deny petition TA 2510, a request by R. Todd Hirschfield to amend Article 3.2.3 and 9.18 of the zoning ordinance to permit, with conditions, private helistops in the general residential zoning designation. The town is aware and considered the planning board's recommendation and any relevant portions of the Huntersville 2040 community plan. The town board is not going to recommend that the planning staff create a special use permit category to permit helistops with a special use permit in the general residential zoning designation.
Is there a second for the substitute motion?
Yeah, I second.
So now you need to debate the substitute motion and have a vote on the substitute motion. If it passes, it takes the place of the original main motion.
Yep. All right, so let's have discussion on the substitute motion.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we shouldn't be interested in the hypothetical. My friend and colleague mentioned if he had a home there, he doesn't have a home there. The applicant have presented to us neighbors who currently would be affected. The neighbors beside, each neighbor around him that would be directly affected, they don't care. They support this application or this proposal. It's up to them if they decide to sell their house later after they've approved or gave support. If they can't sell that house, that is up to them. If someone wants to purchase the home and see that there's a helipad there or a helicopter there, it's up to them to decide if they want to purchase that home or not. So again, we should not make any votes based on prejudice. We should go based on the merit of everything we vote on. And again, if you have the neighbors that's supporting, this is factual. This is the now. If we know that FAA is approving future modes of transportation, I don't see why we should not at least allow staff the opportunity to research and put together a special use category. We direct staff to go back and do other type of amendments. What makes this different?
I agree with my colleague, Commissioner Quarles. I think that with the special use permit, that actually gives us that opportunity to look at it case by case. I also agree that with having the support of the neighbors that are directly affected definitely helps to support. And the FAA's approval in this with the helicopters and the helistops. We have to be forward thinkers. Again, we can't go off of hearsay. We can't govern off of that. And we do. You're right, Commissioner Quarles. We direct staff to review other things. So why is this one any different? Why is this project any different? So I would have to agree with my colleague, Commissioner Quarles, in regards to the special permit use.
Commissioner Walsh?
Wrong way. I think it's important to note that, no, not all the neighbors were in favor. Obviously, we all received many of the same letters. Some were for, some were against.
Continue. Go ahead. Sorry.
Seriously?
Sorry.
Good. So yeah, there are going to be some for, some against, and there were probably several others that may not even know this is happening tonight. In fact, when I met with Mr. Hirschfeld, I said, I just looked on Polaris and said there are 7 properties that are around the cove. You know, what somebody's doing across the street or down the street, whatever. But it would have been nice to know what those 7 property owners thought. Regardless, it was still a very quiet cove. And the thought of a helicopter coming in there, not sure about drones and future of drones, that's something for another day. But there were some for and some against.
Yeah, your beautiful house, and I really enjoyed meeting you. I got a few other emails, is what got me, is some of the neighbors said they were impacted, and so I didn't want to, that it's a beautiful, quiet cove, and I just didn't want to impact their wishes. I do see there's a lot of people who are in favor, and I respect that as well. If there's a possibility to put it out on the water, I may be okay with that.
Any other discussion, Commissioner?
Just to speak to what I heard my colleagues say about when we direct staff to research something, this is just speculation, but we direct them to do research on something that impacts a number of people versus a select few group of people or a select few people in general. So just throwing that out there. I appreciated the presentation, the noise comparisons. I personally am not willing to make the change that's so inconsistent with how other municipalities handle helistops, even with a special use permit.
Commissioner Hess.
Hi, yes, for me, it's not so much about the noise per se. All of your facts were valid regarding lawnmowers and leaf blowers. For me, it's more about a safety issue. It is a beautiful cove. I just wish I could pick your house up and put it at the top in the open water. For me, that would make me feel more comfortable. I do have a question, though. I know that your dock is not very old. You said just 2 to 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be able, with its current state, to be able to put an upper portion, an upper level on that dock?
Yeah, the mayor asked that question in our first meeting, and Duke Power does not allow 2 docks on one property. That being said, I could take the roof off my current dock and make it a helipad like you're referencing. And I believe, I don't want to speak for Mr. Walsh, but I believe he said he would support it if it was over the water. My opinion on that is I think it's actually safer if it's over land because of not only the size of what I would have to land on, but you would, if you had any kind of issue landing on a dock, you're falling into the water as opposed to on the land. The other concern with where my house is located, et cetera, the reason I suggest the special use permit is exactly what I said I tried to say in my video, but I wasn't able to show, was that if my neighbor doesn't want me flying over their house, they don't have to worry about that because the special use permit is going to say this is your flight path, and my helicopter's not going to be going over their house. Or you could say, hey, you have to maintain, and this is common in Los Angeles and New York, you have to maintain 300 feet from a resident, over top of a residence. You can't fly more than 300 feet over residence. I made that number up, but it's a number. You could make that number up and say you can't fly more than 300 feet over the structure. That all puts you back into that fine envelope of where my house is located and allows me to stay within that buffer of safety that you make a valid concern for.
Thank you for that.
All right. Any other discussion on the substitute motion?
Yeah, I just want to make a clarification. I'm not sure that I said I support anything on a dock. I said I had a boat out there for 10 years, and the ones that I saw landing, and they weren't very often, were typically on a point or out, not flying into a cove, but landing on docks out in the water.
Question for staff before so if this is not move forward with my motion, and you have a farmer, David Kidd Road or whatever, that want to land on his farm, is that a no-go? Or are we locked in on this one piece of property?
Currently, as it stands, helistops are only allowed in commercial districts, and it's 3 of them. It's campus, corporate business, yeah. Yep. And so, no, in any residential district, no one could just land a helicopter, no.
But Cornelius has a different rule? They what?
They don't have a rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't address it in their ordinance.
That's what I meant. Everybody else on the lake that touches the lake actually has an ordinance that reinforces this.
So for my new colleagues, this is saying if we do not allow staff to put together a special use permit, then no one can land a helicopter in Huntersville.
No one, only in those 3 zones that are allowed by ordinance.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about
just-
commercial or things of that nature. We're talking about residential.
Yeah, just,
However,
yeah, just
Mr.
making.
Hirschfeld could apply for a different text amendment. He would just have to go through the process all over again. Pay for the text amendment again. There is the opportunity. He could also do that as well. He could do that tomorrow.
Okay, so now we're going to vote on the substitute motion from Commissioner Walsh that denies the text amendment and then also does not direct staff to investigate or research possibly presenting a special use permit process for helistops. And so I'm just going to go down the line. If you're in favor, Scott Cornett, of the substitute motion.
I'm opposed.
Opposed. Oppose the substitute motion?
Yes.
Okay.
You flip me.
Nick Walsh, 4. LaToya Rivers.
Opposed.
Jennifer Hunt. Commissioner Quarles.
Opposed.
Commissioner Smallwood.
I am in favor.
In favor. Okay. We have a tie, which means that I break the tie. Okay, I got to think for a minute. Okay, I am going to vote opposed to the substitute motion and allow the vote to continue on the original motion from Commissioner Quarles. And so,
I would just restate the original motion so that it is clear what they are voting on now.
yep, okay. So now we're going to vote on the original motion proposed by Commissioner Quarles, which was to deny the text amendment by Mr. Hirschfeld, and then also to direct staff to research and possibly propose to us a special use permit process for helistops in the town of Huntersville. So that,
You can just do a all in favor,
Yep.
all opposed.
yep. So anyone, all in favor of the original motion by Commissioner Quarles, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Y'all tied again. Okay, so I'm going to vote in favor of Commissioner Quarles' motion to deny the original text amendment and then direct staff to research the special use permit process. And that is where we are. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everyone.
All right. We are on to item 10H. Consider a decision on petition TA 25-11, a request by Northwood Raven.
Good evening. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record for TA 25-11. So this is a text amendment proposed by Northwood Raven. Just as a refresher, the purpose of this text amendment was twofold. One was to revise requirements for attached garages, and secondly, to revise requirements for mechanical equipment for single-family detached homes. There are many implications for revising the requirements for attached garages, but most specifically, the applicant intended to essentially reduce the required setback for attached garages to single-family detached homes that are located off of an alley. So the drawing to your left is where the setback would be reduced from what it is currently, as well as on the right, but more significantly on the left. And then there was also a request by the applicant for encroachment of mechanical equipment into the rear yard setback. So options 1 and 2 are what is currently allowed by the ordinance for the placement of mechanical equipment on residential properties. So you're allowed to be outside of the side yard setback and outside of the rear yard setback, as shown in options 1 and 2. The applicant proposed option 3, which would allow the encroachment into the rear yard setback with screening. And the mechanical equipment specifically for the applicant will be HVAC equipment, but this could be also pool equipment or other permanent mechanical equipment. The most significant change was during planning board meeting. Planning board recommended that there is a maximum limit of the encroachment into the rear yard setback. There was concern expressed about the potential to locate mechanical equipment nearest to a neighbor that might be located at the rear of a property. So that was an amendment there. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? All right, is there a motion for item 10H?
I make a motion to approve text amendment TA 25-11. The text amendment is consistent with policies LU-8.1 and LU-8.2 of the Huntersville 2040 Plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the application because it will allow greater flexibility for setbacks of garages for single-family homes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Excuse me.
I just want to get one clarification. Sorry for that. So, Ms. Spate, could you go back to the previous slide, please? I want to get clarification on whether or not staff is also recommending the change in the language of the text amendment as drafted from a 25 feet to 10 feet max. Is staff also asking for that change?
Yes, staff is in agreement with the recommendation of the planning board that there is a maximum encroachment of 10 feet into the rear yard setback.
So would we like to amend the motion to incorporate that portion of staff's recommendation as well? You can just incorporate that into the motion. I want to just get clarification. You do want the max 10 feet incorporated.
Okay, so I will pick up from, I'll just start over. I'm sorry, I can't do it from the middle, but I make a motion to approve text amendment TA 25-11. The text amendment is consistent with policies LU-8.1 and 8.2 of the Huntersville 2040 Plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the application because it will allow greater flexibility for setbacks of garages for single-family homes. Staff is in favor of the the adjusted amount of 10 feet. Am I correct in saying
Yes,
that?
and so
Max.
we want to incorporate staff and planning board's recommendation of a max of 10 feet into the draft of the text amendment.
Yes, that is exactly what I was saying, exactly what you said. Yes.
And then we have a second on this motion, which was Commissioner Quarles.
I second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10I, consider a decision on petition TA 25-12.
Thank you very much. This is text amendment 2512 to amend Articles 4.9 and 8.16 to allow detached garages in any yard. The applicant is the town of Huntersville. The text amendment would allow for detached garages to be located in any yard on lots 5 acres or larger, as long as the structure can't be seen from the road. The planning board unanimously recommended approval of the text amendment at the November 19th meeting, and staff also recommends approval of this text amendment. This time, I'll take any questions you may have for me.
Any questions for Ms. Pritchard on this item? All right, do we have a motion on number 10I?
I make a motion to approve TA 2512. The town board is aware and considered the planning board's recommendation and any relevant portions of the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan. In considering the proposed amendment TA 25-12, the town board approves as it increases in consistency within the zoning ordinance, aligns with the town's zoning ordinances with state statute, and allows design flexibility for larger lots without altering urban design standards.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this item? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10J, consider appointments to various boards and committees. That's me. As the mayor, part of my role is to appoint board liaisons to our various committees around, not just ones for the town, but ones consistent throughout the county. And so the board has seen these and weighed in. And so if we have any discussion about it, or can we have a motion to approve these items?
Discussion.
Okay.
So when making the decisions, how do you go about making the decisions based upon the various boards?
Well, each board has a variety of factors that go into it. So there's some that meet during the day, and so those of us that have full-time jobs, I try to not prioritize those for those of us, because it would make it difficult for us to attend. And then that leaves the remaining boards that meet in the evening, and then I try to divide them up by interest of what people have expressed interest in representing or already have, been committed to in their interests policy-wise in the past, and then designate them that way. And then whatever's left over, I try to balance it out so that we all are equally represented. We each have equal amount of representative appointments and alternate appointments. Yep.
Thank you. Just for clarity,
Yeah, sure.
Madam Mayor, is there a reason we don't have anyone for the Planning Coordinating Committee, PCC?
That is one that Town Manager Anthony Raps and I discussed designating someone to it, and we, because it meets so infrequently, we figured that we would do like we did last time and just see which commissioner was available to attend on that date, and then send someone from that, just because it doesn't meet very often, so it doesn't need to necessarily be represented. And then in the future, should it meet, we would, find the appropriate person who was available and to do it at the time. Are you volunteering for the next one?
Well, you volunteered me for the
I
last.
did. Hint, hint.
How did you make your decision in regards to the, Transportation Committee?
So I am as the mayor, I'm on the MTC right now, as long as that continues to exist, and so that requires me to be on the Transportation Committee. And then Commissioner Walsh is on the CRTPO, so that requires him. And then thought it would be good to have one of our newer members on the Transportation Committee so they can learn about all of the various and extensive and in detail transportation projects that we have going on. And so that board, that committee meets and discusses upcoming things and makes recommendations. And sometimes those come before the board and sometimes they go to the CRTPO, but they're all giving updates on all those transportation projects that are on our CIP.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Would you consider adding another person to the transportation and/or removing a body? And my reason for asking is, we've gotten, concerns about displacement, and I truly believe we got the right person right two people for our MPTA. I think they're the people that's going to actually what's right for gentrification or displacement, as well as the funds coming to the area. Nothing against Commissioner Smallwood. She's new to the board, but she doesn't have that relationship with the people in Pottstown and/or our representatives that will be representing the town of Huntersville.
Can't add another member because that would make us have a majority present there at that committee. But Anthony Roberts, are you weighing in?
Yeah, on the internal transportation committee, ultimately, what happens there is we have projects. We may be seeking a grant, ultimately we have staff members in there and board members. We sort of flesh ideas by board members. Sometimes those ideas, or if they're voting on things, it comes back to the full board. No different if we have something that we're looking at, maybe thinking about doing some policy change in police department, and we want to bring that back to the board. We sort of bounce it off those representatives and bring it back to the board if there's a policy change needed. I can't remember, I don't have in front of me how many you have on that committee, but obviously if you move to 4, that would be too many. The stuff that comes to this committee has nothing to do with displacement. I'll just be honest. We don't get into that. The MPTA is not going to address what we do locally here on the board either. When we receive the sales tax funds, I'm just getting all out there, they're not going to have anything to do with that. That's going to be right here, this board, making those decisions, what we do with that sales tax dollars. So I'm not concerned about displacement with this little local transportation group that we'll be dealing with.
Thanks for the clarity.
Any other questions on this item? All right. Now do we have a motion?
I guess I can make the motion now. No, I would like to make a motion that we approve the appointments to various boards and committees.
All right. And is there a second?
I second.
And any discussion? Thank you all for going along with my plan here. And if we need to make adjustments as we go along, we can. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. And then we are going into closed session. And so I need a motion to take us into closed session, please.
I make a motion to go to a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143 dash. What's going on?
That got removed from the agenda. Yes. Yep.
You were right.
Yep. You're good. Keep going.
She told me to do this.
She's right.
I make a motion to go to a closed door session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A5 to instruct staff or negotiate agents concerning the price of other material terms for the acquisition of real property.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. We are in closed session.
motion to adjourn. Edwin and Jen, okay.
All right. Y'all ready for closing comments? Item number 12. Commissioner Coronet, I'll start with you. Any closing comments?
No, I just thank you all for all your help on our first meeting. This was a lot, so I really appreciate all your support.
Commissioner Walsh?
Nothing other than to say, nothing other than to say we've been here a long time, not just today, but a lot of meetings here, and I believe this will be our last time saying motion to adjourn in this building.
Commissioner Rivers?
Happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy your families, be safe. And again, if you're sick, stay home. Wear a mask, all the things, protect your people. But no, seriously, happy holidays and enjoy your holiday season.
Commissioner Hunt?
Happy holidays, Huntersville, and safe travels.
Commissioner Quarles?
Yes, to piggyback on Commissioner Walsh, that this will be our last time to say meeting adjourned in this building. I will say that on January 5th of 2026, the Veteran Service Office will open. We gave them a tour, Bobby gave them a tour this week, and they were very excited. So January 5th, the Veteran Service Office will be open. So please, if you're a veteran or no veteran, tell them just go by and visit to learn about benefits and things that they could use in their life. Lastly, Merry Christmas to all.
Commissioner Smallwood?
Thank you. That was a great first meeting for our first meeting. Thank you for just welcoming me, and I'm excited to have our next meeting in the new town hall, and just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. Be safe out there if you're traveling. And as Commissioner Rivers said, stay home if you're sick. We love you. Stay home. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I want to say that it is my honor to be the mayor that gets to close out the operations of this town hall. It's a very exciting new era for us, and I'm looking forward to having our meeting in the new year. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Oh my God. The motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.